Stephen, welcome to Daily Blast Live. Let's jump right in because there is a lot to talk about. How did you know JFK Jr.? How close were you? And can you share something about John that a lot of people don't know?
So I met John at Brown University in 1981. I was a graduate student teaching a class in modern American political history, and John was enrolled in the class. That's how I got to know him. And then later we became workout buddies. We used to play racquetball all the time, and I spoke to him on the Tuesday before he died.
Now, I've always had a feeling after researching the Kennedys that John didn't really want to be, as you said, the second coming of Camelot, as they call that. And to that point, your book is titled America's Reluctant Prince, which I think is so telling. Tell me exactly why he didn't want to be JFK Jr. and even his name. Jackie said, "I regret naming him John F. Kennedy Jr."
Throughout his life, he kept politics at a distance.
Yes.
He wasn't going to run to politics because people expected him to. He always said, "I want to do what people don't expect me to do." But what happened in those final years of his life, I think John was realizing that politics was in his DNA, and he wanted to run for office. And one of the things I remember I think it was maybe the year before he died, he had spent the day with underprivileged kids at a skating ring in Harlem. And I had dinner with him that night, and he was talking about how they were all grabbing onto him and holding onto him. And he said, you know, what they need is hope.
Yes.
They need to know that tomorrow will be better than today.
Yes.
And he said, I can give them that hope.
Yes.
That's when I realized that he had made that turn. He was no longer the reluctant prince. He was a prince looking for his opportunity to run for office.
Wow, that's so interesting. I never knew that turn was there before he passed. Speaking of John, I have to ask, he's a playboy. He was in our minds a lot of the time. He dated some really good-looking girls. And he had, you know, George Magazine, in terms of pop culture, was kind of a fun, sort of flirtatious magazine, if you will. Talk to me about the Me Too movement. How would John be today?
John was not his father.
Right.
And John, one of the points John made all the time is that he could never cheat on Carolyn.
That's
because he didn't want to do to her, humiliate her the way his father humiliated his mother.
That's right.
So John did have lots of relationships, but he was fairly monogamous in those relationships.
Right.
He was, I mean, it's a testament today, not a single one of his girlfriends has ever spoken out and said anything bad about John.
That's very true. There is a famous image of Trump and JFK Jr. at a Knicks game in '99. Just from knowing him, from having dinner with him, what would John think of Trump today as president?
I think if he looked at our politics today, he'd say two things. First thing he'd say is, see, I told you there was a mixture between politics and popular culture.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
George Magazine was ahead of its time.
You're absolutely right.
But then he would be, I think, disappointed. He would be disappointed in the state of our politics. That's nothing to do with Donald Trump in particular, but just the general state of our politics, which civility is not a term you would use to describe our politics today.
Where do you think John would be in your head? Governor, senator, mayor, running for president? Where do you think his goal was?
Well, I can only tell you what I think his ambitions were. And if he had worked through these issues in the last year of his life, I think he would have run for governor of New York in 2001. And I have no doubt that he planned to run for president at some point.
Wow.
Obviously, you know, fate intervened, and we'll never know. But he said to a friend one time, he was watching an inauguration, maybe it was the Bush inauguration or Clinton, and he looked at the screen, they showed the White House, and he turned to a friend and he said, I plan to go home someday.
Wow. Man, too soon. That's the only thing I can think. Too soon. Yeah. Stephen, thank you so much for your time. We look forward to watching the special JFK Jr., the final year airing on A&E. What an amazing insight into an amazing man. Thanks so much.
Thank you.